This popped up on my notification, so I want to read it to you and get your thoughts.
Okay.
Eric Bischoff, CM Punk is coming to bed in AEW. He says, speaking on the 83-week podcast, Bischoff criticized Punk and claimed the Second City Savior has to bed. Punk hasn't delivered. Punk was a guy that came out and his first comments were, the addition of this talent was more significant than Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, constantly making references to WCW because they want to be the company that WCW was back in the mid-90s. There's this constant references to WCW. When Scott Hall and Kevin Nash came in, we took off. Punk, you came in and you the bed in terms of ratings. It ain't there, and there's nothing in reality to suggest otherwise. You just need to be careful about what you say until you're delivering. That comment that Punk made about these guys being more significant than Hall and Nash in 96, and then 2 weeks after Punk made his big arrival, the rating dropped by 40 to 50%, Bischoff began. He goes, this is what lit my fuse. I wasn't going to comment on any of this until Punk came out and said it's going to take 5 years for the effect of this talent to really show up significantly in the ratings. Are you kidding me? Does anybody other than an uninformed wrestling fan who loves CM Punk, is anybody going to believe that nonsense? It's going to take 5 years? Dude, you're going to be getting AARP mail. Because it happens soon as you start getting close to 50. They start pounding you with this. I let that one go. But then to come out a couple weeks later, after my opinion, he should be embarrassed. And for the ratings to take the dive the way they did after his debut suggests to me that he ain't as hot as he's trying to make people think he is. If he was, the numbers would be much bigger.
I mean, are there any lies told there?
Nope.
All right. Well, there you go. There, Eric's just being. The funniest thing is, like, it's like when we talk about stuff like this, and like these are just facts, and it's like you guys are like fighting against, like, we're trying to, like, we would anticipate.
Yeah, you're fighting their narrative.
We would anticipate a show with Punk would be a pretty good show if he was out there on the mic with other top guys. Just then they haven't done that at all.
Right, burying them, and we said that from the beginning. And I actually thought, because remember we had a long conversation. I go, yeah, Punk's going to make a difference because people love him and he's great on the mic and he can have great matches. And then he comes back. Yeah, they did love him. He hasn't been great on the mic and he hasn't been having great matches against great opponents.
Per example, remember, okay, I just want to go back to my original thoughts that we argued that first time, because here's what I said. Everybody that was putting over his first night, I was saying, hey, you know what, that was great and everything, but if somebody asked me, hey, CM Punk was on TV, I said, what did he do? He just went out and he just cut a promo.
Yeah. It's
like, would he challenge anybody? I'm like, no, he didn't, you know. So it's like, honestly, it's like you would.
Yeah, but the first one is a gimme. The first one's a gimme. The first one's a gimme because they hadn't seen him in 7 years and there's a love fest going on. So I cut him a little slack, just like Sting. The first time he came out, they didn't do with him, but that's cool. It's his first time, right? But what have you done with Sting and Punk since?
And that's my point was, I said, boy, that was kind of underwhelming. They need to bring it next week.
Right.
And what happened next week? Didn't really bring it.
Didn't bring it.
It's been kind of like, meh, you know. And I said, bro, and I said, we talked about this. Punk's first night, let's hit the ground running.
Right.
Hot. Good challenge. I'm here, you know, Punk. It's hey, it's great to be back, guys.
Right.
And that's been the gist of it. I'm going to work with the young talent. You know, let's elevate them and let's make this all inclusive. And so that's what it seems like this whole 3-month run has been. Right. Did you see what he did on the show this past week?
Yeah, he wrestled Dustin.
No. That was Daniel Bryan. Okay, Punk did the deal with Fish.
Oh, he fought Fish. Yeah. Oh, Fish was beating up some J-Brone, and he came in, ran in, right?
Great.
Nothing.
Fish just got beat by Daniel Bryan, and Fish wins a job match, and now he's mad at. Bro, he keeps going down the card. You know, it's like I mean, even Bobby Fish is like that, but that's not like that's a guy coming off a loss that he's decided to pick a fight with. Bro, the thing should be is Kenny Omega should call Punk out. That would be a good angle here. Kenny Omega should beat what's his name, okay, and beat Adam Page, because like I'm not buying it. I'm not buying Page.
I have a feeling they're going to give it to Page, bro.
Okay, they might, but I'm just saying he should beat Page and he should call out Punk.
Right.
And call out his what are you doing? You're up, but you're fine, and then heat that up right away.
Yeah.
And get bro, what it's like I'm saying. What are you saying?
You could heat it up right away.
Punk's stock is dropping. You don't want to work with him when he's a penny stock. You want to work with him when his stock's like worth something. I would absolutely have Punk versus Kenny Omega as the feud that starts immediately the night of going forward after he beats Adam Page. If you want to heat up Punk, and as if Punk just keeps wanting to wrestle these guys, the numbers don't lie. Everybody's noticing this. The numbers stink. And you guys are talking about the demos and everything. Bro, the ratings have gone, you're botching Punk. That's an absolute story that the wrestling media should be talking about, collectively right now, but they're not. And I'm like, because they cover for AEW in the booking sometimes. But like, we agree. This has been lame. So, and Eric's absolutely right. Last message. Hang on, this is the wrong one. That's my fantasy football.
Now, let me ask you a question, because you're noticeably quiet on this one, Joe. You're a humongous CM Punk fan. Would you say what Disco's saying is incorrect?
No, I would say it's correct. I was, happy to see him come back. I was, there for not there, but I was all in for the pay-per-view match. I was happy to see him back on TV.
And let's remind everybody, some wrestlers were thrown into you because you always throw that in.
That's true. I was Brian Cage to throw Starks into me. But no, I was happy to see him come back and wrestle, but, as the weeks have gone by, I've lost interest more and more because of his opponents,
Everybody is, and the numbers, they keep going down.
This is from a CM Punk wrestling fan.
And the last two Saturdays...
1,000% has a CM Punk figurine on his lap right now as we speak. But go ahead.
In the last two Saturdays, I haven't even really gone out of my way to watch the show. Like, I've watched it later and sped through it, but it wasn't enough to make me...
It's very underwhelming. I look at Punk and I'm like, what the f*** are you doing, dude? Come on.
Did you hear what the announcer said? When he came out, he's like, the fans are just now realizing it's CM Punk. When he was in the ring, he was wearing like a T-shirt, and he had the beard and stuff. Did you see that?
He did get a pop, but
really, when they realized it, when they started realizing it was him,
right?
You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't like a spot that perfect example. It wasn't a spot that the fans thought, okay, but Punk, we want Punk. Like they would be calling him out because Bobby Fish is beating up some jobber after the match.
Yeah, like they were chanting Darby's name when MJF was beating up Sting.
Right, exactly.
Yo, what up? This is Konnan, and I host Keeping It 100, my co-host, Disco Inferno, unfortunately.
Well, I'd say you're my co-host.
Listen, every Thursday here on Spreaker, we talk pro wrestling, sports, movies, music, TV, pop culture, and some politics. It's everything the rest of the pro wrestling podcasts are not.
Tune in to hear myself, the superior one, educate and inform.
Tune in to hear me bury Disco.
That's very disrespectful.
Join us every Thursday on Spreaker and keep it 100. Boom!